Good day and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyani. Let us look back to the late Brigadier Ndlovu. There are some very interesting news which has just come to my attention about how Brigadier Ndlovu came to be associated with the investigation of the Senzo Meyiwa killing in Fosoras in 2014. Brigadier Ndlovu was one of the first people to arrive on the scene. And this was testified to by Musia. I remember policeman Musia. I rather forget Musia's rank. I think it was a sergeant. Musia testified that when he got to the scene, he found Brigadier Ndlovu on the scene. And it was Brigadier Ndlovu who was managing the crime scene and was telling him how the crime scene should be dealt with. Now, it would appear that one of the things that Brigadier Ndlovu put in place was a police cordon. A police cordon is that yellow line that the police put around crime scenes to mark them as crime scenes so that people don't interfere with the place. They don't come in and out on only a few designated people or authorized people can then go into the crime scene. Otherwise, everybody else is kept out. That is how Brigadier Ndlovu was dealing with the Kumalo house, because the Kumalo house at that stage was a crime scene. It would appear that cracks began to appear in this investigation. You see, the crucial thing that I wanted to ask this investigator, and let me call him the investigator of 375, because he falls, into that group of investigators who were on the ground and formed the opinion that there'd be no intruders into that house. So it would appear that cracks began to appear because soon after Brigadier Ndlovu had, ordered that the scene be cordoned off and, the place be cordoned off and be treated as a crime scene. The cordons were put up, but shortly thereafter they were put down. Another interesting thing that he tells me is that house was a spaza shop. I'm sure you must have seen the word spaza written all over the house on your TV screens. So that house was a spaza shop allegedly being run by Makumalo. And as a spaza shop, people just, came in and out of the house as if nothing had happened, which was very curious because, if a crime scene has to be cordoned off for purposes of preservation. So it would appear that at that stage, cracks began to appear because this investigator tells me that there was then a group of investigators who followed Brigadier Ndlovu and who made, the finding, the preliminary finding that there'd be no intruders into that house. Then there was another parallel set of investigators, the Gininda group, let's call them, who then made who came up with the theory that there'd been intruders into that house. So it would appear that from that time, there were serious tensions about the way the investigation was being conducted. And it was, those who were pushing the narrative that there had been intruders into that house were particularly worried about the fact that, Brigadier Ndlovu, a fairly senior or a very senior police officer, was taking quite a contrary view. And one of the things that I've just mentioned to you is a follow-up was never made as to how, when and why, the police cordons around the Kumalo house were removed. But they were removed. And this investigator tells me, having removed the cordons, the place was then not treated as a crime scene. in spite of the fact that Brigadier Ndlovu had identified that house as a crime scene, in line with the narrative of 375. So the cordons were taken off, and people were simply informed that, well, there had been intruders into that house and that they had run in the direction of the park. So this is where we have, divergent points of view. This is where we see the birth now of docket 636 and the birth of docket 375. He also tells me that, well, following, those, differences, right? 375 was then sort of investigated secretly because, top management was not really interested in the theory that there had been no intruders into that house. This is why, the investigations of 375 were sort of held in abeyance for a period of 5 years. This is why docket 375 was opened in 2019, whereas docket 636 was opened immediately after Senzo was shot. But both were opened at the Fosoras police station. 375 was opened by Warrant Officer Makubu. So recall also, the strange circumstances that led to the death of Brigadier Ndlovu. Brigadier Ndlovu got ill today and he complaining of something like shortness of breath. The following day, Brigadier Ndlovu was gone. It was as quick as all that. And there have always been question marks around how did such a key witness just pass away? And, this investigator tells me perhaps we need to have an inquest, right, around Brigadier Ndlovu's death and perhaps the many other potential witnesses, defense witnesses, that have passed away in this trial. Because up to today, he still tells me that, that illness is still undetermined. It is not very clear whether he died of natural causes or there was some foul play regarding his death. So there it was, the spaza house, the Kumano house was a spaza house. The spaza house was never treated. It continued to operate like a spaza house. More or less, everybody could walk in and out and buy whatever they wanted to buy. And, curious onlookers also would, get into the house and ask a few questions. Journalists were there also. Everybody just did as they pleased on the crime scene. So these were some of the, the things that raised the red flag for Brigadier Ndlovu, that, why are these people now treating this place like it's not a crime scene? Why is reliance being placed on, the information gathered from the people in the house simply to say that there were intruders here and they ran in the direction of the park? Because Brigadier Ndlovu was taking the position that, well, we get your explanation of there having been intruders here, but leave us to do our work as police officers, right? Leave us to do our work, and we'll see whether, that intruder theory, has any credibility. Because the police are not supposed to solely rely on, what they are told by people on the scene. To a certain extent, that helps, but they don't entirely rely simply on what they are told. Because, like we have seen in the Meyiwa trial, sending them on that wild goose chase towards the park could have been employed to protect some of the people who were responsible for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. So that is how docket 375 and docket 636, sort of came into being, right? And it is very worrying that, somebody as key as Brigadier Ndlovu has since passed away, because he was going to be a very key witness. Malesa Latifo told, Judge Shifua Mahumela in the first trial that they will be calling, he would be calling Brigadier Ndlovu to come and testify, because he was one of the very first people to arrive on that scene. and that his assessment will be, at variance or be totally different from the version that we see unfolding in court and which was even unfolding then in the previous trial. So that is the situation that has just been brought to my attention, that that house in the Kumalo house, the Kumalo Spaza house, just continued to be a Kumalo Spaza house, as if nothing had happened there. Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you very much for the subscription that I'm seeing. Please keep on supporting this initiative and have a nice day.